Hey there, I'm Kardino, and today I want to take a look at one of the most popular series in all of gaming. Mario Kart is a series that needs no introduction. No matter how old you are, chances are you have memories of playing Mario Kart as a kid, and maybe even watched the series evolve into what it is today. So taking all that history into consideration, I had to ask myself what was next. So in this video, join me as I try to make an ideal, yet realistic Mario Kart game. So one of the first things I thought about when making a new game is what would make it unique. After all, every game in a series thus far has added something new to the table. I dabbled with a few ideas such as a hyper mode where all the challengers went super fast, or straight up flying. The problem with these ideas though is that they would defeat the simplicity of Mario Kart. You have to remember that every time Nintendo makes a new gimmick, it never interferes with the core gameplay. For example, in Mario Kart 8, driving upside down seemed like a groundbreaking concept, but really was more of a visual novelty that didn't affect the gameplay so significantly that your uncle couldn't pick it up and understand what was going on. Then I had a thought. Does Mario Kart need a new mechanic? I mean, you can't just include a new gimmick because the other games had them. That's not how you ensure a game's quality. Instead, I thought it would be a great idea to make this new entry the definitive version of Mario Kart, kind of how Smash Bros. Ultimate evolved from its younger brother on the Wii U. So with that in mind, let's dive into what I call Mario Kart Ultra. With almost every Mario Kart game, the modes they include can change. Sometimes they include incredible ideas such as missions in DS, and other times they forget to give us verses like in 7. Needless to say, I want all the modes to be here. That includes Grand Prix, Versus, Time Trials, Missions, Battle, and Online. Now, I'm going to elaborate on these last three in a sec, but for now, let's just talk about the first half of the list. Grand Prix would be the main attraction. You and up to 3 buddies can race in any available cup in 50, 100, 150, or 200cc. All other settings would be non-configurable. If you're looking for a little more freedom, you could go to Versus, or as I'm rebranding it, Custom Mode. Here you can tweak all the settings from which items would appear to how many CPUs there would be. Finally, there's Time Trials Mode. One player races either a staff or a friend's ghost and tries to get the best record. These 3 modes are the must-haves for any Mario Kart game, and it's safe to say that they're pretty much guaranteed for the next console game. But what about the other modes? Well, let's get to those. Battle modes are some of the most essential parts of Mario Kart, yet somehow Nintendo always likes to shake up the formula for better or worse. For this game, I'm going to modify the rules off of the older games like Mario Kart DS. I'll explain what I mean by that as we go along. Right now, let's briefly go over the included modes. Let's start with Balloon Battle. You start the game with 3 balloons and try to steal or pop those of your opponents. If all of your balloons pop, you are eliminated and become a ghost who can drop a random item on the map every 30 seconds. In Shine Runners, the match begins with a set amount of shine sprites and everyone has to hoard as many as they can. Every minute, half of the players get eliminated based on who has the fewest. Any shine sprites held by those players are dropped onto the map for the rest of the players to fight over. The match ends when only one player is left standing. In Bob-omb Blast, all players drive around the map and throw bombs like they're hate comments until someone gets 5 points. You get plus 1 point for every person you hit, and minus 1 point for every hit you take. Last up is my new proposed mode, Shine Thieves. Players are divided into 2 teams, which start across the map from each other. Each team has 3 shine sprites, which are colored in accordance to their team. In addition, each player has 3 balloons. If a player loses all of their balloons, they respawn at their team's base. Whichever team brings all the opponent's shine sprites to their own side wins. However, only 1 sprite may be transferred at a time. A player carrying a sprite cannot use items. If a shine sprite is dropped, someone else from that team has 5 seconds to pick it up before it returns to the other team's space. So those are the ideas I had for the battle modes. Oh, and in addition there would be 2 map sizes, one for 6 or less players and one for 7 or more, with the only exception being Shine Thieves. Also, items, CPU, and timer settings would be customizable. If you ask pretty much every fan over the age of 15 what mode they would want back, chances are it would be the missions. You see, Mario Kart DS had a side mode where you could complete a list of objectives before unlocking a boss at the end of each set. Maybe it would be collecting a certain amount of coins in 30 seconds, or performing a certain amount of turbo boosts. Sadly, however, this mode has not appeared in any entry since DS. Now, like a lot of new ideas on this list, there's also a significant possibility that Nintendo won't implement this, but I thought it was cool enough to mention here. What if they had a story mode? It wouldn't have to be a deep cinematic with a scale of World of Light, but I'm thinking something more on the line of Mario Tennis Aces, something that wouldn't be meant to be the soul mode, but it would still be enjoyable on those lonely nights when your friends are all doing whatever extroverts do on Friday nights. Anyway, all I would want is about 50 missions, with boss fights appearing every 10. As for the story, it wouldn't need to be that complex. Bowser steals some important car and you have to chase after him. Bam, Miyamoto idea right here. I feel this wouldn't be too hard to implement, and it would almost certainly inspire me to spend more time with the game, along with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe had a pretty solid online mode, if you squint hard enough to overlook the few glaring omissions. First of all, I think it's time that we had dedicated servers. If I get a communication error, I want to know it's because the time has come again for another letter to my ISP, not because some high schooler decided to play during class using his cellular hotspot. Now, I'm fully aware that this is just a larger problem with Nintendo's online service in general, but that's a topic for another day. For now though, here's a few suggestions to make online mode better. First, let's get a leaderboard for worldwide and region divisions. Even if they had to stick it on the NSO app, knowing how I compare with the rest of the world would not only give value to VR points, but would also be a great way to increase replayability for the long term. Here's another idea, let's have an advanced search option. Maybe I want a max of only 8 players in a race and don't feel like 200cc. Well, if that's the case, I can just enter those options, and similar to Smash Bros, the game will link me up with people who have identical or close preferences. Now that I think about it, it's one of those things where you have to ask yourself why this isn't a thing. I mean, tournaments were a little like this, but you had to share the room code with people online or something so you wouldn't be the only one in the lobby. Here's a catch though, if I had friends, I wouldn't be in this situation in the first place. So yeah, those are my ideas for online. I don't think the current system is terrible, but I think a couple additions would go a long way to improve the user experience. Also, the obligatory native voice chat speech would go here, but everything I'd had to say on the topic has been covered before by other creators. Oh boy, here's where what little credibility I might have had ends. With every Mario Kart entry, there's going to be a roster that someone on the internet doesn't like. But I might as well take a swing at it, so here's my proposed roster. Now, looking at the screen, you'll probably notice something. Yup, I didn't include any characters from outside the Mario franchise. Now, I know the internet really likes the idea of a Nintendo Kart game, but personally, I'm not on board. Like, I wouldn't boycott the game if they included Samus or anything, but I would definitely prefer the more diverse roster to be Mario Kart 8's thing. But that isn't to say I want a plain roster either. What if Ultra took a different page from Smash's book and added alternate character costumes? So if you want to play as Pink Donkey Kong, you can do that as soon as we dismiss you from society. I guess the reason I feel more comfortable with this over a non-Mario roster is because the franchise would turn into a less hyped up version of Smash Bros. Only instead of fighting, everyone races in karts. At that point, we'd have 2 franchises that would just be Hall of Fame titles. What would be next? Should every Mario spin-off become D-franchise? It's an interesting idea to toy with, but that's also another potential discussion to have later. Also, I like the idea of having the unlocks of the characters as you go along. Not a ton of them, understand, just a few of the more special characters like Rosalina, King Boo, and the Metal characters. However, you wouldn't just keep racing or playing for X amount of time to unlock them. It'd be through my new proposed system. Now before you start freaking out, this wouldn't be a place for microtransactions or anything. Instead, it'd be a place where you could spend any coins you picked up in any of the available modes. For example, let's say you start off with the Mario Kart 64 roster, but then as you play more races, you can collect enough coins to unlock the specific characters you want. This would also apply to karts and gliders with different prices for each. Maybe a new glider would be 50 coins, a kart would be 100, and a character would be 200. Now, with this new unlock system, there would be a small adjustment that would need to be made. When you are in a race, you should be able to collect more than 10 coins. This seemed like a strange limit in Mario Kart 7 and 8, so I don't see why it should carry over. Additionally, it would make coins feel a lot more valuable. Maybe your max speed is capped, but you're still getting a small reward for doing well in a race, since each coin is one step closer to unlocking something new. As a side idea, maybe Nintendo could also hold special events. For example, instead of releasing straight up DLC, maybe they could release something similar to Tetris 99. For example, let's say they decide to bring over a retro course like Daisy Cruiser. A new mode becomes available online where everyone plays as Daisy with a specific kart combination. Then, if you earn enough VR, you can unlock the ability to play that course after the event. If you can't make it or don't perform well enough, you can always buy it later at a premium price at the shop. Now, as unlikely as it sounds, it isn't too crazy when you think about it. Considering Nintendo will most likely raise the cost of NSO at some point, it only makes sense for them to add more perks. And what better perks could you ask for than exclusive in-game content? And hey, if you don't want to subscribe, then you can buy them for $2 each on the eShop or something. It's a fun idea, and even better, it'd keep the community alive after the game's release in a similar method to the Splatfests for the Splatoon series. Last but not least, let's talk about the courses. Now, I'll admit that I'm not really the best with coming up with new track ideas. Maybe they could make one about a construction site, or a cave with glowing crystals or something, I don't know. For now, I'm just gonna list off some of the courses I'd like to see remade. From the original, let's bring back a Vanilla Lake, a Ghost Valley, and a Choco Island. Just try to make the mountains not look like crap this time, okay? From 64, we'll take Frappe Snowland, DK Jungle Parkway, and Wario Stadium. From Super Circuit, I'm going to choose Yoshi Desert, Ribbon Road, and Rainbow Road. Now here's where things get nostalgic. Double Dash was the first game I grew up with. We'll begin by bringing over Peach Beach, Mushroom City, and Wario Coliseum. DS is next, and we'll take a serving of DK Pass, Tick-Tock Clock, and Airship Fortress. From Wii, I'm choosing Toad Factory, Maple Treeway, and Koopa Cape. Almost at the end here, we arrive at Mario Kart 7. I'm gonna have to choose Maka Woohoo, Wario Shipyard, and Rainbow Road because I'm biased. Last but not least, from Mario Kart 8, I'm going to choose Mount Wario, Big Blue, and Cloud Top Cruise. Oh, and one last note for those of you who are wondering about my selections. I lean toward the courses that haven't been remade recently, although I did make a few exceptions. So yeah, that's my wish list for Mario Kart Ultra. This is a series that has brought me countless hours of entertainment, and I'm sure that if I let myself, I could go on for a lot longer. Alas, videos have to end at some point, so I'll just end with this. Remember that these were all just my personal preferences, and I am fully aware that these changes are likely not going to be made. Whatever the next entry in the series looks like though, is sure to be something special. Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video and making it all the way to the end. This was a special episode of sorts, so I'm glad you found it interesting. Anyway, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed yourself, and ring that bell so you never miss a new upload. Also, tell me down in the comments what you would want in a sequel. In the meantime, however, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.